Marketing is an absolutely crucial aspect of developing your game, and one of the best ways to market a game is actually in the later stages by getting influencers to play your game on their platforms. And today I'm going to tell you how I got that done for my game Tilelands. Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, my name's Cuba and I make games. Most recently I made a game called Tilelands, which has been played by YouTubers, namely The Geek Cupboard, Alexa and Real Civil Engineer, who, in case you missed it, has 2 million subscribers on the platform. So in this video I want to use it as an opportunity to kind of share with you how you can maybe do this for your own games, some of the things that I did to reach out to these influencers and have them play my game, and yeah, kind of ensuring your odds or upping your odds for actually having a successful interaction. So why would you actually want to work with an influencer anyway? And I think it kind of goes like I said in the intro to this video. These YouTubers, streamers have a large audience who you can share your game with, and having an influencer play your game, especially if it's a game with high replayability and low chance of it being spoiled through someone else playing the game, it's something that's really likely to be picked up by a content creator and also drive sales for your game when the release comes. Furthermore, it gives you an opportunity to get feedback from someone with a reputation for playing games, and potentially someone who you have a lot of respect for. Certainly in my case, you know, I'm a big fan of Alexa and Real Civil Engineer, so hearing feedback from them on my games in the context of a video was both very reassuring as an indie developer, like just starting out properly, but also very valuable in looking at someone whose opinion I respect and being able to get that feedback on my game and use it when moving forwards with next releases. And finally, there's the major benefit of it effectively being a high rating testimonial, which you could even feature on a Steam page or in press kit material to say that these, you know, highly valued streamers or influencers have played your game and reviewed it well. So it's a useful tool to have in the back pocket. So how do you actually get these influencers to play your games and furthermore make content about them? The first option you've got, which is probably a more consistent and more reliable option, but not the option I decided to take, is to pay influencers to play your game, i.e. sponsored content for your product. This method is one that has often been frowned upon by many developers, especially in the indie space, and is generally seen as not proper or selling out or something like that. But honestly, in this day and age, with the way that content creation is moving and the types of competition that you have in the indie space, it really isn't that bad to take a portion of your marketing budget and put that towards having your game promoted. If you've come to the point where you have an agreement and money's been handed over, that content is guaranteed and you're going to get reach to those audiences. Alternatively to that though, if you're someone like me who has a budget of zero for marketing their game and just needs to do it in the easiest way possible but at potentially lower odds, then you want to try the approach of cold emails. So cold emailing is literally just sending an email directly to an influencer, offering them a key for your game, some info about the game, and generally asking for some feedback on the game with the potential of content being created. Like I say, this is obviously less likely to get a response because technically speaking, there's no benefit to the streamer, influencer, YouTuber from playing your game. It would purely be beneficial to you, but depending on the type of game you're making and the kind of audiences that you're sending it to, you may end up being in a position where it's more likely to get played by the streamer, influencer, YouTuber, because it's similar to other content that they do and content that their audience responds well to in previous videos that they've created. So that's the method that I used when I was reaching out to these YouTubers, and I'm going to tell you a couple of the things that I did to kind of shore up that deal a little bit more. So step number one to this process is actually finding email addresses to send to, and this is kind of just a grunt work task. You've got to go and put in the work. I'm not going to give out any emails here out of respect for the YouTubers that I have spoken to, but generally speaking, you can look at their social accounts, YouTube accounts, Twitch stream accounts. Most of them will have an email publicly. Ideally, if you can get some kind of more personal level email than a business email, it's more guaranteed that they're going to see it, because oftentimes, especially with bigger content creators, they'll have a business email address which goes through a personal assistant who will filter through things, and that may lower your chances of actually getting to the source and thus lower your chances at getting any feedback on the game. So once you've got your email addresses, you want to then get your Steam keys and write up your first email to go out to influencers. When doing this, you definitely don't want to send emails to just one person. Odds are you're not going to get a response from a good portion of the people that you reach out to, so you want to probably reach out to anywhere between like 25 up to 100 different people who fit into the realm of what you're playing. And when I say that, I mean very specifically content creators who make content around games in a similar genre or style to the game that you've developed. Case in point, for me, when I was sending this game out to the Geek Cupboard, Alexa, Real Civil Engineer, I was looking at games that they had played previously which are similar to Tilelands, like Dorfromantik, Farmkeeper, Panorama, and other small minimalist city builders that fit into that scope, and using that as a basis by which I could tell them that the game was similar and could potentially do well for them on their channel. So, you've found your email addresses, and now you need to actually send an email. What are you going to write in this email? First things first, you want the subject line to be concise and to the point. You also kind of want it to be a bit clickbaity, because something that's going to entice a potential influencer is going to be much more likely to get opened in the inbox, which, let's be honest, is probably full of a large swathe of similar emails from other indie developers looking to get their games played. You want to make something that's going to stand out and that's going to get clicked on, so there's a small aspect of kind of being a bit clickbaity with your subject line. Generally speaking, in this you'll want to highlight the key hook of your game, so something like how it's a city builder roguelike, or a deck building city builder for fans of Dorfromantik or something like that. And then you also want to specify in the subject line that the email contains their key, something along the lines of your key for X game. In terms of the content of the email itself, you're going to want to follow again a specific concise structure, which starts out with a simple information block at the top, giving the key things that they need to get started playing your game, and then you can go into a bit more of a breakdown with a little bit extra detail about what the game is, what your studio is, and the feedback that you're looking for. For that first section, you're going to want that to include things like the Steam key, a link to your trailer, a link to the Steam page, and a very brief elevator pitch for the game. For example, Tilelands is a minimalist city builder around placing tiles to optimize maximum scoring. The general tone of the email should be warm but professional. You don't want to come across as desperate or pushy, but you still want to convey what you're looking for and do it again in a concise manner. Influencers are very busy, they have a lot of other stuff on their plate, and you want to be respectful because ultimately they're doing you a great service by taking the time to read your email and play your game. So make sure you're staying respectful the entire time, and again, making sure that you're being concise with what you're writing and not taking up too much time when talking about your game. If you want some extra help with actually formatting this email, I have a template available over on the studio's Patreon, which you can find down in the description, which will help you potentially get this pushed forward further. There's also a full write-up over there for the steps for the follow-up plan, which we're about to talk about, to really maximize your chance of success when contacting influencers in this way. Generally speaking, you're not going to get a response on the first try, and potentially not at all, but there is something you can do to increase your chances of getting a response, and that is following up. Oftentimes, like I say, influencers are quite busy and your email might not get seen, so the purpose of following up is to make sure that you're staying top of mind for people, where if you've sent an email about your game and potentially they've seen it and just been sidetracked because they've got other stuff on, you can have another email come through that brings you back to top of mind, and they're more likely to respond if they were interested in the first place but didn't get around to replying. So that said, the general follow-up strategy that I like to follow is a 3 follow-up strategy, where the first email is sent after 3 days, second email is sent after a week, and the third and final email is sent after 2 weeks. So the first follow-up is a gentle reminder email. This is a chance to, like I say, follow up with the influencer and give them a gentle reminder, make sure that the email has come through properly, and offer any assistance that they might need with extra information or assets around the game, or any other assistance with regards to things like more Steam keys, anything like that. The second follow-up is the interim follow-up. This email is going to be very short, very concise, probably a simple one-liner, just to check in, once again, touch base with the influencer and see how they're getting on, if there's anything else you can provide, but just again, to stay top of mind. And the final email, which again you're sending after 2 to 3 weeks, anywhere between then depending on the level of urgency you want to operate with, is going to be a final sign off. You're going to use this to thank the influencer for their time and respectfully say that that's the last email that you're going to be sending, and you appreciate them taking the time to look at your content, basically. Now again, like I say, the purpose of these follow-ups isn't necessarily to, chase the influencer. You don't want to be putting on extra pressure. Like I keep saying through this entire video, you want to be respectful, you want to keep it concise, you're only using it as an opportunity to stay at the front of their mind, and remember that the follow-up emails aren't made to convince an influencer who doesn't want to play your game that they should. They're used to keep you at the top of the mind for an influencer who does want to play your game but is potentially preoccupied with some other projects or other content that they can't get around to just yet. So that's the entire strategy. With that, let's just cover a couple final sign-off aspects. Number one, remember these influencers owe you nothing. If they're not replying or you're not getting anything back, don't take it personally, don't feel discouraged. Like I keep saying, influencers are very busy people, especially the larger ones. They'll oftentimes have large content schedules already planned out for months in advance. So if they don't have time to respond to you around your new small indie game, don't take it personally. It's likely not because it's a bad game or because, you're not doing a good job. It'll likely just be because they don't have the time to look at it right now. Once again, don't be spammy. Stay respectful, maintain a professional dialogue for the entire time that you're sending these emails. Even if an influencer doesn't pick up your game right now, you maybe will develop a game in the future that's better suited to them. And if you've maintained a good professional approach in your first set, odds are when you come to contact them for a future game, they're more likely to pick that up if the reason that they didn't pick up your first game was because it just didn't quite align with their content plan or the types of things that they like to play. And of course, remember not to get discouraged at people not responding. With this kind of method of just cold emailing people, the majority of people you reach out to aren't going to reply to you. You're just not going to hear anything back. Maybe some of them that you do hear something back from are just going to be a flat out no, and that's perfectly normal. It's no reflection on you or what you're creating. It's purely circumstantial. But if you do get a response for a no, you can always follow up asking for more information about why and use that to help you progress in the future. It's very important to remember that nothing from this experience is negative, even if it feels negative on the surface. There's always good positive value that you can take out of it, and as long as you're maintaining, again, that professional, respectful dialogue, you're going to be doing yourself well in the long run anyway. So hopefully that was helpful to some of you other game developers out there. Like I say, there is a template and a full written description of that follow-up plan and the guidelines for it over on the Patreon page, which you can find in the description. If you're not already, please do join the Discord server and you can contact me directly if you have any questions about this approach and want to talk to me more about how I did it. And that's going to be everything from me. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.